ownership. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the most interesting topics of business studies. As we have studied before, and we learned more about what's an entrepreneur and what are his qualities, we had to understand that one of the qualities of an entrepreneur was to take a risk, the risk in starting a business. So, in forms of ownership, we will learn the variety or the number of businesses in which this entrepreneur has an opportunity in. So they can choose from any one of them. Now, forms of ownership is the topic that deals with that. This is grade 10 work, chapter 9 in term 2. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, let us continue. First of all, we are going to start with our definitions. We're going to discuss the important definitions which are found in this chapter. The important terminologies in this topic, ladies and gentlemen, are as follows. You need to understand the forms of ownership, the continuity, surety, limited liability, ultimate or unlimited liability, what is a memorandum of incorporation, what is a sole trader, partnership, a cooperative society, and many more. So on this slide, we will learn about the ones which I spoke of. First of all, what's a form of ownership? Now, a form of ownership, it is the legal possession of a business and the way it is owned. And then continuity, ladies and gentlemen, this is the continuing state of a business. Is the business able to continue in the future? So can it exist even longer than its owner? That is your continuity. Now, example, if for example we have a shareholder and he dies, can the business continue with or without him? That is continuity. And then we have got surety. Now, surety, ladies and gentlemen, it is when a person accepts liability on behalf of another person or a business. Basically, we're talking in terms of contracts. When you sign a contract and we know that you are incapable of paying the specific amount that you need to pay on your contract, then we'll have a clause there of surety, which means that you can have another person who can help you pay this in case you are unable to complete your debt. And then we have got limited liability. We go to the next one, which is security. Now, a security, ladies and gentlemen, these are shares or bonds issued by a company. Those are securities. Now, limited liability. These are losses which are limited to the amount that the owner invests in the business. So these are just your losses. And then unlimited liability. Here, the owner's personal assets may be seized to pay the debt of the business. So unlimited liability means that you are incurring all the debts of the business as an individual. So the business does not pay for its own debts. And then we have got a memorandum of incorporation. And a memorandum of incorporation is a document that set out the right, responsibilities, and duties of all the shareholders and the directors. Now, basically, this serves as the constitution of a company. All right, and then we've got a certificate of incorporation. Although it's not here, this is the document that you receive after registering a company. We'll learn more about that when we tackle the topic, which is companies. Right now, we'll look at the forms of ownership themselves. First of all, we'll look at a sole trader. What is a sole trader? Now, this is a business which is owned and controlled by one person, and he takes all the decisions and the responsibilities, and also again does not share his profit with anybody but himself, because he's the only person who runs the business. Then the next form of ownership will be a partnership. Now, a partnership, ladies and gentlemen, this here it's an agreement between two or more parties that have agreed to finance and work together in order for them to pursue a common goal or business. So this form of ownership could be entered into by a contract or by a verbal agreement, any form of agreement, as long as there's an agreement between two people, because a contract is basically an agreement between two people. All right. Now, what is a cooperative society? Now, this is an autonomous association of persons united and volunteering to meet their common economic, socio-economic needs and aspiring to do things together. Now, basically, this is joint and it is a joint and democratically controlled enterprise. It is an enterprise like your, mm, ah, I can't think of an enterprise as yet, but yeah, I'll just get to that. Right. All right. So we will continue explaining the other types of companies. Now we are at companies. What exactly is a company? And there are different forms of companies which exist. Also, again, understanding what is a prospectus, an AGM, directors, and what is an auditor. So let's start by understanding what a company is. Now, ladies and gentlemen, a company is a legal person which has capacity and power to act on its own. So here it simply means that a company is given the right that any other ordinary human has because it can make decisions for itself. So in a legal standing, it can sue and be sued. That's what it means here. And that's why it is a person. I know that some of you are going like, oh, this person, this company is not even a person, doesn't breathe, doesn't walk, doesn't eat, doesn't smell, but all of a sudden is a person. In a legal status or in a legal standing, it is actually considered to be a legal person. Now we'll start with the different forms of companies. We've got we've got two types of main companies. We've got either a profit company or a non-profit company. Now a profit company, ladies and gentlemen, it is a company which is incorporated with the purpose of financial gain. So its main purpose it is to make profit for its shareholders. And then a non-profit company, it is a company which was incorporated with the purpose of no financial gain. So that simply means that this company was probably created for the purpose of addressing a socio-economic issue or an environmental issue or other issues which are not profit related, like sports and um, youth development and so forth. Now, let's look at the type of companies that are in existence in South Africa. So we have got a public company. Now, a public company is a voluntary association of one or more persons. Now, this is governed by the Companies Act number 71 of 2008, um, incorporated in terms with the Memorandum of Incorporation. Now, we put this into the Memorandum of Incorporation, explain what our company is about and all that. So this basically it is a company which can sell shares and also give out shares to the public. All right. Now, a private company, it's similar to a public company. It is different in the sense that um, it's private owned and its shares are not easily distributed to the public. So it doesn't sell out its shares to the public that easy. So you need to be invited to actually have a share or to buy shares into a private company. Now, a personal liability company is a voluntary association of one or more persons, basically the same as a private and a public company, and a state-owned company. Now, a state-owned company, ladies and gentlemen, is a legal entity that is created by the government in order to participate in the commercial activities or on its behalf. For example, we have got ESCOM. ESCOM is a state-owned. Why? Because um, it is it is created by the government for the government to participate in the economy, so that our country can have a a say in such in electric affairs. That's why we some people in our country can be able to get away with things like uh, not paying electricity because government is not meeting up with their needs. So we get this basic rights based on the government intervening. But if it's a government company like your ESCOM, then the money that's not paid by the people will be taken from tax in order to help the company to be sustainable. That's why most people are complaining about, yeah, our social issues, but it doesn't really matter. It's not only ESCOM, which is a government company, a state-owned company. You also have got your, what do they call it now? Your presser, and you also have got a number of them. Yeah, that actually have 50%, more than 50% stay, I mean, shares in the company. That means it is a state-owned company. So remember the thing of SAA, the government is selling SAA. It's not really selling SAA. It will have an influence into it, but it's no longer the majority of it, so it cannot be a state-owned. So understand that when it's a state-owned, the government has the most shares into that company. All right. Now, a partnership article, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that we talked about partnerships in the previous slide, and then now we'll be discussing what is a partnership article. Now, a partnership article, ladies and gentlemen, is a document that contains exhaustive provisions with regards to the matters concerning the business and the partners. So that is where our partners will write, partner A possesses this and this and this, and his responsibility will be this and this and this, and in the business he shall receive a profit of this and this and this, and partner B has these and that asset, has contributed this and this and this and much to the business, they'll get this much contributions. So basically, an partnership article, it is where we find out the details of the partnership agreement in a business. Okay, now a prospectus, ladies and gentlemen, is a document inviting the public to buy securities or shares. So this will be mostly issued out by a public company. All right, and probably an invitation to specific groups of people from a private company. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what is an AGM? Now, this is a meeting that is held once a year where shareholders receive a report stating how well the company has done during the year. That is an AGM. And directors, ladies and gentlemen, now our directors, these are people which are elected to the board of the company by the shareholders to represent the shareholders' interest. So basically, these people are people who are there. They are there to direct. So they are They are actually elected in the board, basically, or most of the time during an AGM. And then these people, they direct the business on the interest of the shareholders. And then what is an audit? Now, this is a process, ladies and gentlemen, where the organization's accounts are checked and they are checked so that uh, to make sure that the business is in a better financial position, and the business financial practices are honest. All right, so that is it, ladies and gentlemen. So we shall go back and just review the type of forms of ownership that we have. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there are different types of forms of ownership which are in existence in South Africa for any business to register with, even though some of them don't need to be registered with. So we have got your sole trader, partnership, closed corporation, personal liability, your private company, your public company, state-owned company, non-profit company, and lastly, your cooperatives. There's something that you should note about the closed corporation. Now, the closed corporation, ladies and gentlemen, yes, it is a business in South Africa that exists, but it is no longer a business that we can register because according to the Companies Act of 2008, Act number 71, it states that only two types of companies are supposed to be there. So it's supposed to be in existence, but however, it can no longer be registered. It can be bought from another person, but it cannot be registered. Just keep that in mind. So yeah, those are your forms of ownership, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the next slide we'll be talking about factors that we need to consider in order for us to get in choosing a form of ownership that suits our business. Thank you very much. Now, when choosing a form of ownership, ladies and gentlemen, there are some factors that you need to consider. As we talked about, the size of these um, forms of ownership, they vary. For example, a sole trader only belongs to one person, and then a partnership, it belongs to 2 to 20 people, and then a closed corporation obviously is 1 to 10, and a company can be owned by one shareholder to an unlimited number depending on the capacity of the company. In that, I mean the number of shares in which the company has. So those are some of the factors. I mean, those are some of the scale of the forms of ownership. So the size of the ownership is very much important when deciding which form of ownership do you want. If ever you want to have a sole trader or a partnership or another form of ownership. And then another thing that you need to consider is the way in which the business is controlled and managed. So, for example, a sole trader is managed by one person and you take all the decisions. So, if you know that you're a person who likes to take decisions by yourself, so that's the way for you. But if you know that you're a person who likes the input of other people, you can consider having a partnership or a company, because you can also request another person to give you advice. Now, the third factor to consider is the bearing of risks. Now, the bearing of risk, it's a state of liability. Am I willing to take the risk alone as the person who owns the business, or do I want it to be a collective thing? And that also is part of your entrepreneurial trait, risk taker. So, what kind of risk are you willing to take? So that will also guide you to the form of ownership in which you want to start your business. So the fourth one here is how capital is going to be raised. So are you going to borrow that capital? Do you want that capital to be in a form of assets? How do you want your capital to how are you going to raise capital? That is going to choose the type of business that you want. For example, if you don't have money and you have a specific trade or skills that are very necessary for somebody who is in the same line of business with you, and they have the money but they don't have the skills, the two of you can come together and you can form a partnership whereby the type of capital that you will be offering, it will be your service, your skills, and your knowledge, and for them it will be their money. All right. The fifth one here is how profit and loss will be dealt with or shared. So this is the sharing of profits. And the sharing of profits, if you are a greedy person and you want all the money by yourself, hey, by all means, do that. But if you are a good person and you don't want the money for yourself, you want to share with other people, that's a good one. You can also choose to have the sharing of profit by sharing it with other people. Let's say, for example, you're in a partnership, you are going to need to have a partnership agreement that tells you how you're going to share your profits pertaining to the type of work that you have. But usually people don't want to share the money that they have. So um, that's it on the fifth one. Now, the sixth one here is who is responsible for any debts that is made by the business? The liability. Do you want the business to pay for its own debts, or do you want to be responsible for paying the business debts? So this one has its ups and downs, but it's good if the business pays its own debts. All right. So mostly if a business pays its own debt, a liability, it's in the form of a company. But a partnership and a sole trader, they're not usually responsible for paying their own debts. The owners pay the debts of those forms of in ownership. And the other one here is your tax implication. So is the business paying tax? Are you paying tax? How is the tax being paid? All right. And the other one here is the lifespan. Does your business have continuity? If you die, does your business continue? Or is your business limited to your lifespan? So that is continuity. That chooses the type of business that helps you to choose the kind of business that you want. If you want to build an empire, obviously, you must start by registering it as a company. Then it can be an empire and it can grow by itself without any disturbance from you. And then lastly, ladies and gentlemen, is the vulnerability of the business in terms of the lawsuits or legal persons. So remember when I explained the forms of ownership, I also explained that a public company or a company is a company, it's a legal person. So a company can be able to sue and to get sued. So it simply means that you can make decisions, the business can make decisions for itself, and if ever the business gets into trouble, its owners are safe from the troubles of the business, because the things that will get sequestrated and repossessed will be the assets of the business, not the owners, all right, or the shareholders in terms of a company. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the little cartoons. And then we shall get to the first form of ownership, which we will discuss in detail tomorrow, which is your sole trader. The sole trader. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the sole trader is very much interesting. Remember, we said that the sole trader is a business that is owned by one person, so it's a one man business. So, here are some structured definitions of what a sole trader is. Now, a sole trader is a business that is owned and managed by one person. Uh, the business owner handles everything. That includes the activities of the business and its processes and all the decisions. So everything belongs to him. Remember that cartoon that you saw on the previous slide? Yeah, that was basically a sole trader. He owns everything. That's why the wife is saying, "Oh, you can give yourself a bonus." That's it. So another definition here is that it is most suitable for service businesses such as doctors, hairdressers, and electricians. All right, that is all you have to hear on Soul Trader. Now, just like I said in the beginning, that we need to know the characteristics, advantages, and disadvantages of these forms of ownership. So, here are the characteristics of a sole trader. One, the owner can sell the business to anyone at any time because he's the only one who owns it. Sorry for my French. Yeah, who owns it. And then two, there are more legal requirements regarding the name of the business. It is not like there are no legal requirements at all, because you don't have to register it. So you can call it whatever. For example, Mr. Baloy's Dental Services, you see? So you can even put your name. There are no requirements which are needed because the sole trader. And another thing that can identify a sole trader is that it is easy to establish, as there are no legal formalities in forming the business. A sole trader is not compelled by law to audit its financial statements. So yeah, but there are disadvantages to that because you might not know if you're making a profit or not. But it's one of the characteristics. What characterizes it? It is not under any obligation to have its financial books audited. And then the owner, the owner has personal interest in the management of the business and the service that it renders. Only the owner. So the owner has full control over the business. That's what it was supposed to say. And then the owner has unlimited liability, as he is personally liable for all the debts of the business. So every other debt that comes into the business is the responsibility of the owner. That's a characteristic, and also again can form part of a disadvantage. Another thing is the sole trader has limited company to expansion and lacks continuity. So that simply means if you are a sole trader, you don't have any other person to help you expand it. That's what it means here by limited company. Company as if like you don't have other people to help you. So you have limited capacity to expand as a business. So you end up being at one place. You can't really franchise it. If ever you want to go that route, you will have to register it into a company. We'll get into that very soon. Now, a sole trader has no legal personality and therefore has no continuity. So it does not continue. So its existence depends on the life and the health of the owner. So if the owner is in ill health, the sole trader will suffer. If the owner is dead, the sole trader is dead. Yeah, it's sad, but that's what happens. Now, the sole trader again, how can we see if it's a sole trader company? The owner provides capital from his own savings or his own borrowed capital. As I mean, borrowed money that he borrowed from the bank. So it's basically a personal liability. Everything that he has to be done in a sole trader must come from the pocket of the owner. So the assets and everything, you don't get any assistance from any other person. It's just you alone. So that's a sole trader. And the owner has a personal interest in the management and the services that is delivered. So that is that. Now here's something which is very interesting and very much advantageous. All the profits rest on the owner and they are taxed on the owner. So you get all the profits, but you must understand that also the tax will be charged on you as the owner. So you pay the tax for the company or for the business. And then lastly, there is no special requirement when the owner wants to close the business. So you can just simply close it as you will. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the characteristics of a sole trader. So let us look at their advantages and disadvantages. Advantages. Now, here are the advantages as simple as they are. The sole trader requires little capital to start. It's quick and easy to make all the decisions as you are one person owning the business. And there is no legal process which is required for the business and can the business can easily adapt to the needs of a client or customers. So yeah, that's that. And then the business or the assets of the business belong to the owner personally. So everything that's in the business belongs to you as the owner. And a sole trader can close the contract and trade in his own name. So everything that is done in the sole trader depends on the owner. The owner takes all the profits made by the business and are entitled to the ownership of the assets. There are personal encourages and personal contact between the owner and the customers. So the owner has personal contact with the customers, and also again the sole trader generally closes their customers and offers them is closer to their customer and it offers them the personal approach and improvement to services because they have a very close relationship with their customers. So these are basically a repetition of some of the characteristics. So we can characterize it by some of the advantages and disadvantages this sole trader. Now let us look at the disadvantages, ladies and gentlemen. All right, now ladies and gentlemen, we are at the disadvantages. So what makes the sole trader so horrible? First of all, it is not always possible to pay high salaries because you are a sole trader and you don't have any other means of capital and everything rests on your shoulders. So the little help that you get, you can't really pay them that much. All right. And then unlimited liability. This means that the owner is personally liable for all the debts and the losses suffered by the business. So if the business does not make a profit and you've got somebody who works for you, still need to pay them whether you made a profit or loss. So it's a disadvantage, because all the liability it's on your shoulder as a sole trader. And then growth of business can be restricted due to lack of capital. So because you're one person, you don't have any other avenues of attaining capital. You don't have other people to contribute and help you expand your business. So that's a problem. Your business cannot really expand because your capital is very much limited as a sole trader. And another disadvantage is that the owner is responsible for providing all the capital needed, which may be difficult to raise a big amount. This is basically the same as the growth of the business. And then another bad thing, very horrible thing, is that if the owner does not have enough knowledge and experience, the business may fail. So it doesn't mean that the business will be successful. If you want to start a business and you're a sole trader, you must be well versed in the skill, in the art, and you must have good experience so that your business might prosper. I'm not saying that if you don't have them, it will fail. Definitely, no, no. The statement there is may fail. So just keep that in mind. And then a sole trader lacks continuity. So if the owner dies or gets ill, well, the business does as well. Too bad. It is also difficult to attract high skilled and knowledgeable employees because of that salary issue. People who have skills, they want to get they want to get paid based on what they know, based on their 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 demand and their need. So if you run a sole trader, it's not likely that you'll have somebody with high qualification and high skills working for you. So yeah, it's sad. It's sad. Unless you're the only one who knows all those skills, then it's something else. Now, another disadvantage is that tax is calculated according to the progress income system, which can be up to a maximum of 40% on everything that you have made. So the government will look at your bank statement, see how much money is getting in, is it coming on from the business? If the business is making money, then you will get charged interest of 40%. Yeah, that's not nice, but hey, that's it. The tax is paid by you as the owner, not interest. Sorry, I said interest at first. I really meant tax. So yeah, the tax will be paid by you as the owner, and it's not a cool thing. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for Sole Trader and the beginning of our uh, our introduction to our forms of ownership. And then tomorrow we shall continue with partnerships. I hope that you have a great day and yeah, enjoy the rest. Remember that there will be an informal assessment based on this that you'll be writing on the day tomorrow. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.